Hey, I'm Reggie
All right.
Ponder, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable. If you caught what we just got through talking about, this is what we do. We just talk about stuff all the time. This is where
That was the pre-show. The
that was the
pre-show.
pre-show. This is where
Pre-show.
black film critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. And we have some things on docket for you today. I usually do a like a little monologue in the beginning. I have nothing to say other than, man, I was so happy to be off this weekend. I didn't do anything this weekend other than hang out with the family. And I know we talked about this before, but everybody needs to look out for their mental health and take that time off. It the work is still gonna be there. Sean, that interview still gonna be there.
All
Uh,
gonna still be there.
all that
Enjoy your
stuff.
life. Enjoy your life.
All that stuff is going to be there.
All
So,
gonna be
so with that, we really just going to get into we got a couple of movies to talk about today. The first one we're going to talk about is the Broken Hearts Gallery. The second one will be Love Guaranteed. And then we're going to do something a little new, and kind of go rapid fire through some issues that are happening
That's what I
in
want to
Hollywood.
get to. That's dope. I want to get to that. These two new movies out this week. Yeah, I want to get to the countdown.
He too impatient. This is why
Oh, that's gonna
I
be
don't
great. That's
read
gonna
his
be
stuff.
great content. We just talked about creating great original content. That's great original. Everybody, and their mama talking about these movies. Yeah, but that countdown's great original content.
All right, well here we go. So we're gonna go to the Broken Hearts Gallery, and I am asking. Oh no, we're gonna go Love Guaranteed first, and I'm gonna ask you, Sean. I had to go that one first. I'll ask you, Sean, to man. I don't even want to ask you to do that. Anyway, preview this film, man. Tell us what this one's about.
Yeah, Love Guaranteed, currently streaming on Netflix. Stars Damon Wayans Jr. as a guy who's looking for love using online dating service or a online dating service called Love Guaranteed. The service claims you'll find love if you use their site. I don't know what was wrong with this brother. I mean, Damon Wayans Jr., he's a handsome guy. The character he plays, like ex. I don't know if they really said what sport, but he's an ex athlete, great physique. You know, got some intellect, gift of gab, nice wardrobe.
And he paying for these dinners.
Man, he got all 50 of his teeth fresh cut but apparently he goes on multiple dates, 1,000, so they say, and he just can't find love. So he decides to hire a lawyer and sue the lawsuit and file a lawsuit to sue the online dating service because they had this in the small print. We guarantee you'll find love within 1,000 dates, and he didn't. And he hires a lawyer, and it's a rom com, so you already know how it ends. That's
You definitely know how it ends. For me, I'm really happy that this one was on Netflix because and was never ever slated to be one of
nope.
those big kind of movies, because the time that I spent sitting watching at home, I was like, whatever. But I didn't feel as bad as I probably would have felt if I had gone to the theater for this one. It is absolutely, you could telegraph this one with no problem. You know, boy meets girl, girl doesn't know that
Man,
boy likes girl, girl likes boy, but girl don't want to tell boy. And it, it just kind of snowballs in
it
that
made
kind of
me
way.
it made me feel like a psychic because I knew everything that was about to happen. So I felt good for 90 minutes. I mean, your only investment is a light 90, a light 90 minutes, man. No money.
Right, right. If you have Netflix or get somebody else's Netflix, Katya, what's your thought
I
on this?
mean, it's like a nostalgia film to a certain point. If you
It
remember
is.
Rachel Lee Cook from all those teenage films, she was Josie and the Pussycats. She's all that. She was in the original Babysitters Club. That it was nice to see her. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we always talk about people who were child stars or young adult stars, and we all think they all went to rehab. But in her case, she's a full functioning, healthy adult. Heather Graham is in it too. She plays the mean girl. So in that way, you know, if you're a fan of both of them and you wanted to kind of like catch up and see, this is definitely a perfect Netflix film, especially if you're like a young adult, that's the demographic for that. We're not the demographic for that. That's for like your 18 to 24. I can even see some 16-year-olds watching it. And it's a cute little thing. It's the perfect Netflix and chill movie. You get together safely, social distancing with people, and you watch it and you have some kikis and ha-ha. That's what it is.
I'm not sure it's the perfect though,
I wouldn't
Katya.
use that word
I
either.
mean, I think
I'm
it
not sure it's
is
the
what it
perfect.
is. I mean, I think of it as like everybody knows, looking at the title, looking at the trailer, that this is not going to be, some deep thing. And as long as you understand that, but it is like the perfect thing to get together with your friends and you kind of like laugh. I mean, the people that are most fun in this film are her supporting staff, you know, the two people who are trying to making her office run with no money. They're the ones that are like the scenes. Usually the scene stealers in these movies are more fun to watch, and I was definitely more interested and would like to see something with those two done. But I think like if you're like if right now college students can't really party, shouldn't be partying. This is something fun to see with your roommate in your dorm, where you kind of like can talk and you can comment and do all that weird stuff that a movie like that, makes you do.
So
Best part of this movie is it proves we're slowly inching toward racial equality because Damon Wayans Jr. is allowed to make a dumb movie in the same vein as a Seth Rogen or Pauly Shore or all these other guys who get to make multiple movies like this. So, congrats.
Yeah, and it's okay to make stuff that gives people an escape. I mean, we don't always, not everything has to be, I mean, life right now is serious enough. So in your entertainment, if you want to just like tune out for 90 minutes, like Sean said, and you just want to like laugh and, even though everything is predictable, this is your movie for you, where you're just like, you know what, nobody's going to die. No, nothing horrible is going on, and it's just sheer silliness.
So I agree, and then I'm feeling like pushing back on you just a bit because I think it's a fine thing to just sit down there and watch it, but I am a sucker for a good rom-com, so I don't believe that just because it was meant for this younger crowd that
I agree.
it wouldn't hit me right, and I'm just saying it didn't hit me. It wasn't one where I
And
left.
that's fine. That's not everything is for everybody, and sometimes things are made for a specific audience. You know what I mean? There's tons of niche things, but again, this movie isn't the worst thing. Is it?
No, you're
fantastic?
right.
No, it is what it is. It is.
What did you say? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I heard that somewhere before.
No,
it is what it is. What's up with that?
It's not like a Lifetime movie, but it does what it's supposed to do.
It was some stuff there. I wish they could have just like honed in on. They could have really made this great, but they didn't. So
yeah. For me, before we move on to the next, is that I felt that it was a step above a Hallmark film. That was it for me. I know you said not Lifetime, but it was like a step above Hallmark. I didn't feel like it was a total waste of time, but I was really happy that I watched it at home. I would not have been the person been happy if I had gone somewhere to pay for it. So I'm saying I'm kind of agreeing with you that it's a 90 minutes that you could, if you just got it and you sitting there to watch, it might be perfect for some people, and people can watch it. That's it. So you're saying watch it, Katya?
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to you already paid for the subscription, and if you just want to tune out for 90 minutes, go for it.
All right, what you saying, Sean?
Nah, no.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, unless there's just nothing else out there to watch.
No. It's too much good stuff out there.
I think I'm gonna watch the crazy Love Island before I'm checking Love Guaranteed. But that's just me. All right, guys. Moving on. We're moving on to our next movie, and that movie is The Broken Hearts Gallery. And Katya, tell us what this one's about.
This movie really surprised me because I was like, but I like the idea. It's about this girl who has a bad breakup and was holding on to all the stuff from her exes, which is a little creepy. But she then meets this other guy who's developing a hotel. But she decides to use co-op some of his space to create this broken hearts gallery for people like her who are holding on to stuff from their exes. And it turns out to be there are a lot of people doing the same thing, and out of it evolves, like, closure and for her, emotional release and growth. And she starts getting back into the thick of things. I really liked this movie. I was surprised that I did. But I mean, yes, there's nothing amazingly new going on there, but I really like the lead actress. I think she's good. I've
And I don't
seen
know
her
how to
in some
pronounce her.
other.
I don't know how to pronounce her
I don't know.
name.
That's why I'm trying to
Oh,
avoid it, because
yeah.
I
So I
think when
don't. I
people,
don't want to
yeah,
be.
I don't
Oh,
want
dang.
to. Listen, I don't like when people mispronounce my name, so I'm not going to do it to someone else. She's been in some other films, and this is, like, I feel like the first vehicle. She was in Hala, and she was in another teenage movie. But I feel like this is the first vehicle where we get to kind of like see her and see her stretch her talent. I also like because she is not what you want to call Hollywood's traditional ideal of a lead for this type of movie. She's not blonde and she's not super thin and all of those things. My guy from Stranger Things, if you watch Stranger Things, you know he was the lifeguard that all the moms were thirsting for. So it's nice to see him, not have a better, he's not getting killed and fighting monsters. But I think this is a cute movie. It's fun. The roommates are, again, in these movies always seems to be the supporting cast is more interesting. If you pay attention, Philippa Sue, who was in Hamilton, plays the lesbian Russian model, and she's a lot of fun in this. Again, this is a movie for if you are venturing out, and I'm not telling you to venture out, and you don't want to see the crazy car rage, or you don't want to have your eardrums blown out by Tenet. This is an option for you. And there's an audience that does not want to see these other two types of movies. And it's a shame, because I think this might have been a movie that might have been served better to not just be in theaters, but also in VOD, because a lot of people are into this type of comedy.
Sean.
Everything I said about Love Guarantee pretty much applies to this film, except they executed this much better. It also benefits because it had a stronger premise, and I also thought the two leads had better chemistry. It was fun. I mean, New York's the setting. They did a great job of showing different and unique parts of the city, but still some of the same parts of the city. The story moved along fairly well. And I actually was hoping that an actual Broken Hearts gallery existed someplace in real life, because I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. But it's an okay movie.
Yeah, yeah. I like the
Great movie
concept.
on Netflix. Yeah, they definitely should have. This should have went to a streamer. Then this would have been a lightweight streaming hit.
I think it might have even done better than being a lightweight, because I was actually surprised that I stayed with this one, because I have no experience understanding why people would keep something from somebody else. I'm like, really? Seriously? Duh. But
Yeah, but they made it playful. They made it playful.
they did, and it actually kept me involved. And she was really good in this. I felt she kept my attention, and I agree that that threesome, the friends and that they made it really interesting. And in fact, in many cases, the three of them together was more interesting than some of the other stuff that might have happened. So I was surprised that I stayed with it. I do think it's really interesting that you say everything that you said about the other movie, because it is boy meets girl, boy tries
Success.
to
Yeah.
it's the same thing, but they absolutely executed it better, and I think that's because the lead actress, while quirky and absolutely annoying to me, I would not like to know that character personally. I'd be like, oh, no, 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 get away, get
No,
away. But she did that character well.
it worked. It worked for this movie.
And she was also, like, if you, I was trying to look up the film Blockers. she was like she was very assertive in that film, but again, the role was very limiting. The other thing I loved about this film is the casting was diverse.
Oh,
People have
absolutely.
such people give such pushback saying that if you do quotas, whatever. No, if you hire the best actors and you keep an open mind, you still have a really good movie. You still have working parts. The idea that, I don't like her background is not middle America, this, that, and the third. But she totally works as the lead in this film. And we need to see more of that, where you just give someone a chance to shine. Also, the woman who directed and wrote this movie is behind Gossip Girls. So a lot of that quirkiness, if you
can
watch
see that.
Gossip Girl, you can see in this
Yeah.
film, like Blake Lively's character. So in that aspect, I think that's another plus. And I wish this film would have gone to VOD, or you could do what Copperfield did, where you went theaters and VOD, so that people that aren't comfortable going into theaters would totally pay for this film. Totally would pay for it.
The last thing I guess that I'll mention on this is that I always look at the black characters in these films. I always do, and it was really interesting to me that the two black characters in this film, the woman from Harvard and then the gay guy behind the counter, neither of them had relationships, and that always gets me when everybody else has relationships and they don't. Just something that I noticed, and I always notice that. But I'd say watch this one. I wouldn't say go to the theater. I'm not trying to tell you to run to the theater either, because, hey, I saw Tenet with 7 people in the theater. So I'm not saying run and go see this at the theater. But what say you, Sean?
I mean, if I had to say, I'll say watch it. I mean, it's right down the middle.
Okay. And
You
Kati?
say watch it, but I am not telling you to watch it in the theater.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
got to make that decision yourself. Don't be emailing me talking about there were 30 people in there without a mask. No, sir.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe you wait until this one comes for you to rent, but and then
They're all coming faster than you. They're all coming faster than you think.
exactly. So if you don't feel comfortable seeing the theater, wait until it hits that iTunes, that Amazon, and then go be great.
It'll be there in 3 weeks.
So Sean, there was a third movie. We're not going to talk about it, but I'm forgetting the title of it that you suggested that we review. And
The open today, I Am Woman, the Helen Reddy biopic.
no, not that one. It was like I think I'm going to give something away or get rid of something.
Oh, I'm thinking
of ending things.
Yeah, I'm thinking of ending.
And that's how I felt after seeing both of these back to back. I'm thinking of ending things. I'm totally thinking of ending things.
That's a weird. We don't have enough time to jump into that movie. We'll explore that one down the road.
Take you down a rabbit hole that is,
We'll talk about that one another time.
Yeah, that movie alone deserves like a good 15 minutes just to talk about the premise.
We are going to try something new today, and
what's this?
This is my timer, and we're going to see if we can.
In 1 minute. The countdown. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is dope.
This is something new. We are going to talk about 8 topics. We are going to do it in a minute and 30 seconds. Get in everything that we can get in. I will start with telling us what the topic is about, and then moving on. So
okay.
So let me bring up my piece and see if my dexterity is good.
Uh-oh.
All right, so
there you go.
There we go. So this one is really about Bel-Air. So Bel-Air, as you guys know, just got picked up for 2 seasons, and it was based on a viral video by superfan Morgan Cooper, and it got all these views.
Homie.
It got all these views, all that type of stuff, and it's supposed to be a dramatic series as opposed to a comedy. It got picked up for 2 seasons. What do you guys think?
Okay, for the record, Morgan Cooper is one of my homies, one of my friends. He's from Kansas City, Missouri. We've known each other for more than 10 years. So I'm not officially speaking on this because I want to maintain some professionalism. But the idea he came up with is dope. The series is going to be amazing. He had already told me about this deal 6 months ago. I just couldn't say anything. Will Smith, the fact that the entire original team of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air have all approved it and are on board says everything.
All right, Katya.
I'm more interested in the picture he posted yesterday about him and the real Aunt Viv.
All right, we're going to get to that next. We're going to get to
Yeah,
that
you
next.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
our
You know,
next.
but I do think it's going to be interesting, and I think the reason they got 2 seasons, number one, the idea is dope, and of course the original team's attached and Will Smith, the fan base.
So-
If nothing else, they'll watch it because of Will.
So I can't agree with you guys more in that the idea is dope. I think that it's really cool how you reimagine this whole series. But I'm always thinking, why do we always have to do the same stuff? I mean, the same stories. I'm not saying this is different.
In this case, though, this is not like they're just like flipping it to flip it. The fact that they're totally taking it in a whole different direction it gives it a little more credo.
There we go. All right, let me see my dexterity here. All right, so this one is, you want to get into it anyway, Katya. This one is that Janet Huber and Will Smith, I don't even know what the beef was. She got fired, but did Will Smith really fire her? Was he the reason that she was not on the show anymore?
Yes. I hope the conversation starts with him apologizing. Like, to me, the show, nothing against Maxwell Reed, and definitely Maxwell Reed, it wasn't the same. She helped build that brand. You know, that iconic episode where Aunt Viv goes off, where she's dancing, she's got the unitard on, the banter between her and Uncle Phil. She helped build that brand, and to cut her out like that. And I definitely believe that Will was young and he was feeling himself, and we all make mistakes. But that conversation needs to open up with him apologizing.
All right,
because
Sean.
if there isn't an apology, then what was the point of sitting down?
Let's
But
get
you
to
got to
this,
remember,
Sean.
though, we don't know because we're not privy to the behind the scenes world or the inner workings of what we're going on with that show. I mean, there have been a lot of people who walked off some of the most iconic shows that we really love. Like, I mean, James Evans Jr. I mean, who's the real guy that played his name is escaping me right now. John Amos walked
John
off.
Amos.
You got to
That
remember.
was a creative difference. This was different.
No, it's all the same. Fred Sanford walked off Sanford and Son and came back. I mean, it's a long list. So we
I just want to say also, we need to stop acting like Janet Hubbard was some person that was found off the street for the show. Janet Hubbard was a Broadway star. She had a full resume before she got that job.
Yeah.
And people talk about this woman like Will Smith made her. No. Out of everybody on that show, that had the least resume as far as acting was Will. And this is the thing is, with black women, no, we're not doing this today.
It's not that simple.
When black women are wrong in the business, especially black men, very rarely do they get an apology, do they get their just due, and it needs to be done. It's just a principle thing. You know, in reality, you need to cut her a check, but it's a principle thing. And also, the thing about it is, I felt a little bit hurt in terms of like, we the fans deserve to have her in that reunion special. Maybe she didn't feel comfortable doing it, but also I don't like when people do the okey doke, like when they switch people and they think we're not going to notice and we're not going to be aware that.
So our time is up on that one.
Our character.
Our time is up. Our time is up, but I am going to sneak in a comment here. Is that I am glad that they are talking. She definitely mentioned, I think in 2000, she's mentioned a couple times there will not be a reunion. She won't be a part of it, all that. So it will be interesting. I normally I don't care about this stuff.
She got that check. Why y'all playing? She got paid, dude, because they wanted to make this thing seamless. When they're about to go into this whole Bel-Air thing too, dude, she got paid.
Either which way, the apology still needs to happen.
But she came back because she got paid.
Well, we will find out more.
They didn't owe her, but she got paid. They didn't owe her, but she got paid.
Absolutely. Maxwell Reed did not build that brand. She walked into a maid role and she was on the show what?
It happens all the time on lots of shows, though.
And the show suffered the quality for it.
So we are moving on to our next one. It is the Academy Awards New Rules for Inclusion.
Bad idea.
Why?
Bad idea.
They got four categories. They demanding all kind of stuff.
We want inclusion. Dude, no one's more pro-black. I've been pro-black since I came out the womb. I promoted black cinema, inclusion, equal rights. we don't want it like this. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the show. If the money is equal, you don't have to worry about this. Give Black filmmakers access to financing and capital, then the stories naturally are made. You can't force people to tell a story a certain way. Just let people tell their stories. Plus, this is a signal that the Academy doesn't trust its own membership. That's where the problem is. The people who nominate and vote are always messing it up.
But here's my problem though, Sean, is that we get all these decorations from these companies that saying, "Hey, I'm down with the cause. I do this, I do that, or whatever," and then you see no movement. Somebody has to draw a line in the sand and say, "You know what? Since you couldn't do it on your own, here's what we gonna make you
But do
do."
it with the money, not with the awards. We're still missing the boat because now you're gonna have a situation where people are gonna be like, "All right, so you forcing me to do this to win an Oscar? I'll just," because you're not making, in theory, you're really not making a movie to win an Oscar. You're making a movie to make money. So now you're gonna have a whole litany of filmmakers who are like, you know what? Skip the Oscars. We're still gonna make our movies to make money, and then skip that whole process.
But
It's about
usually
money.
the kind of movies that a lot of the kind of movies that win an Oscar are those artsy type films, and so those people
But that's
aren't
just because the
making
way
those
the
films necessarily to make money. They're making them,
No, no,
and
no, no,
you've
no,
talked
I'm
to a
Reggie,
gonna
lot
Reggie,
of.
say, I'm
Reggie,
gonna tell
stop,
you why.
stop.
I
Every single movie made is made to make money. Let's dispel that notion right here. Whether it's indie, every movie that's made, because the people who finance movies, no matter how big or small, want their money back. Every movie's made to make money.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to say this. I disagree with Sean because I don't think they went far enough. There needed to be something in there that said you cannot vote on Best Picture if you haven't seen all the nominees.
That's
Because
a
that's
different story,
another,
but
that, excuse me, you
that's a
said
different
your point,
thing.
let me say mine.
I know, but that's
That
different.
needed, that needed to be a part of the discussion too. Unfortunately, we can't trust people to do the right thing. If we were waiting on people to do the right thing, we'd still be sitting in the back of the bus and we wouldn't be where we are today. So sometimes you have to force people to do the right thing. It
and
does
so what
not
is your
change,
point?
it
What
does
is your
not
point?
change, it does
But
not change how you make a movie. What it does do is because you can still, for instance, Tenet is a perfect example. It totally qualifies under the new rules. And what does the movie change at all? You have a black lead. You have a woman lead. You
Yeah, but they
have
did that
a
on their
minority,
own.
excuse you. You
They
have a
did it on their
minority
own.
co-star. You have people behind the scenes. Art director is a minority. The
yeah,
problem is that we are not hiring enough black and brown people, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. You cannot tell me that only white people can be art
so
directors,
so so so
costume
I'm
Katya,
not
designers,
I
saying
agree.
makeup
that. Yeah,
I
artists,
we
agree
agree
blah,
with
with
you
that,
that
blah.
we're
but
not hiring enough black and
yeah,
brown
Yeah.
people, but I don't
that's
understand your point about making them see the movies. How does
that's a
that,
because
in your
that's a
eyes,
different
Because
topic.
work on
it's
diversity?
part of the reason why, okay, the Academy says 10 pictures can be nominated for Best Picture. When it comes to every year, we hear stories, especially by Black creatives. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that Queen and Slim should have been nominated for Best Picture, but when you are holding screenings and you're sending out screeners and people aren't watching or aren't coming, how
Okay,
do you then, can
I
you
was
then
just trying to
say
make sure I understood your point.
yeah, that how can you say that you actively have seen everything that's eligible in order for you to vote? Right now, we're doing something for Critics' Choice for the documentaries. I am actively every night watching 2 movies. So when I start dwindling down to nominations, I actually can make an informed decisions because I've seen everything that's been subjected. That's one of the major issues. So I wish
Okay,
they would have tackled that as well.
all
You
right.
cannot vote for Best Picture
No,
if
no,
you don't watch this. Also,
But
how
that's
do
two
no
Asian
problem. Let me
different.
get
vote
Sean
That's
in
behind
here. Let me get Sean in
that's
here.
but
Go ahead.
that's two different topics. One, the issue you're addressing is the membership is bad because the membership is not diverse and the membership is not 100% active. That's one topic. The question at hand was about specifically about inclusion, and I said yes, we want inclusion. No, we don't want forced inclusion because I think ultimately that's bad. You
I
don't.
disagree because if you wait for white people to do the right thing, we would
It's not
still
just white.
again.
It's not just white people.
No, no, no. If you wait for white people, men,
It's
to
not.
do the right thing. People who are not whatever, they're
But
not
does she have a
comfortable
point there,
hiring
Sean?
outside of the
Does she have a
group,
point?
you would
Is that
still
if they
be sitting
haven't
at
been
the end of the
doing it,
buck.
if they haven't,
But you
I
can't.
really want to hear
No,
your point on
you
this one.
want
Hold
to
on, Sean,
change,
just for a
but you
sec.
don't want
Just
to
for a sec.
force it.
Because I just want to ask the question: is that doesn't she have a point though? Is that if for all these hundreds of years, they haven't done
Right.
it's not 100 yet, but
It's
they,
close to
It's
100.
right,
not
Hollywood
years.
right,
close.
but they
17 plus
haven't done
years.
it. They haven't done it, and
But
it
you
doesn't seem
don't.
like they're going to
No,
do it. I really want to hear your point.
no.
Yeah.
You want inclusion to happen. You just need it to happen organically. You can't. I don't believe in forcing people to do anything because it causes a
You wouldn't be
different.
where you are if people weren't forced to do the right thing.
No,
The
no, no,
Civil
not
Rights
with
Act
force.
of
No, you can
1964
be.
is exactly that,
No, no,
forcing people to see everybody as human beings and giving us our rights as American citizens. What are you
yeah, but not
talking about? You
when
can't
it
you want
comes.
it to wait
Go ahead. All right,
organically.
let me hear
You
what
would
he's
be
talking about.
1980 and you still wouldn't be voting.
All right, go ahead.
That
But
doesn't even make any sense.
this is
It's
not voting.
historically inaccurate.
This is not voting. This is not access to accommodations. This is art. Like you can't tell people how to tell a story.
But
Yeah.
you're working in a system that
Kathy.
benefits only white, straight men.
No, that's
So
not
the
true. That's
system is
not true.
corrupt,
In,
just like
in
So I
all
issue,
the
think
other
what
it's
Sean,
way
systems.
past them
but
anyway.
I want to jump in. I think what Sean is saying though, because he's always on the money tip, and I'm not saying I'm in that boat, but I think what I'm getting from Sean is he's saying if you got the money, you make the art that you make, and it speaks for itself.
But
I
the
Speaks
think
for
that's
system
itself.
is, but what I'm trying to get him to understand is he wants to put his eggs into people that have shown you for 90 years or longer that they're not going to do right by you. They're
Right.
not
So you
going to
do your
give you
own. You
money.
do your
So
own.
you cannot, because at the end of the
If
day,
you have
you
the
have
money, you can.
but who has the money though? That's not us. We just had this conversation. Like on
Well,
the
that's
one
what I'm
hand, I'm
telling
like,
you guys.
here's the thing about it is, God bless you if you think organically these people are going to see us as equal or anybody that doesn't fall under the Anglo-Saxon straight white male group. But it's not happening. It is not happening. We still have conversations with actors in 2020. Nia Long said it in an award show that you helped put together, that she's been in the business for over 20 years. This woman still has to show up with her own makeup and do her own hair. That's some
Right.
nonsense.
That's a different issue.
Because it is not a different issue, because if you're hiring actors for a project of different backgrounds, you should have hair and makeup for everybody. That's understood. Heck, they do that for little recitals out here in the suburbs.
No,
But you can't do it on Hollywood set. No, I'm sorry. I do not have faith.
all right.
in
So
Hollywood to do the right
fired up.
thing.
You are fired up, Katya. But we gotta get off the subject. But last word to you, Sean. Go.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
All right, so you're done. All right,
I'm
so
done.
now we're gonna move into our next our next one. Oh, this one is The Blind Spotting, which was a movie. It has now been greenlit. Who cares? Anybody
I
care?
do. That's not. But we just talked. Well, this feeds into our past. The subject we just talked about. Hopefully, this gives people opportunity to tell one of our stories, and it's extended. You know, you got a feature film that was pretty good, and now it has new life as a series. So there's some jobs. There you go. There's an example.
But they're taking I don't know, the interesting characters to me was the fact that all three of them were the top three, and they're just taking the female character and building out her story. I'm sorry, Katya, that doesn't like get me excited. You know, is that from my vision of Blind Spotting, I at least want the two of them there because I'd like to see that interaction. But now she's a single mom, she's struggling and doing what she's doing. I'm just saying that particular version of Blind Spotting, you can make that something else.
I think I'll wait and see it. It could work. It could not work. But once again, it's an opportunity to tell another one of our stories.
I mean, I think Jasmine is a really good actress. You know, again, it's one of those things where most people know her from Hamilton, and also here's the other thing is more people should have seen this film. You know, I think what hurt this film was the marketing was not on point as it should have been. You know,
because they didn't have the money.
It came out of Sundance with a lot of gusto, and I think the rollout was not done properly. You know what I mean? Like it showed at ABFF, but the actors weren't there to have the Q&A. You know, that to me was like a fail, because especially with that community and that audience would have been a great opportunity for them to have that discussion. But I think, you know, again, I mean, I think we got to wait and see what it looks like. We may be pleasantly surprised and find out that this show turns out to be really, really great.
We
I'm
may.
definitely interested in seeing it, and I'm happy for Jasmine, and I hope it's a success.
So I hope it's a success. I'm just saying that the version that I'm hearing doesn't necessarily hit me here to be like, oh man, I really want to see that. I do think though that you know, hey, I was so interested in the two guys. Maybe that's because they mirrored some of the issues that as a black man that I've gone through, that I've seen other people go through, and I was really interested in that story. So to see it devoid or absent of them is just seems to be a different beast to me. I will say that
give it a shot.
yeah. Oh no. I hear you. I think you're right. Having the ability to have different stories, however we get them, is a good thing. So I'll go with that. All right. So now, 2 weeks ago, we all argued about whether we should go into the theater to go see Tenet. Tenet made $20 million at the box office. That means it saved
Allegedly.
It made $20 million at the box office, $150 million worldwide. That means it saved Hollywood, yes?
No, it did. How? What math are you
And I
using?
tell you why not. Because if they felt that Tenet was doing what it needed to do, they wouldn't be talking about moving Wonder Woman again. And at the end of the day,
100%.
and at the end of the day is, I believe theaters in California, certain parts of California, are going to start to open, and that's going to indicate also which the rollout is. The problem is the arrogance that at first they were like, we're not going to show this film in drive-ins unless it's in cities that are also showing it in theaters. Now they reverse that, and they are showing it in drive-ins, in theater, in places where you can't see it in person. They should have done that from the door, because again, the confidence isn't there from the public. Also, the 150 worldwide, we have to understand is that in certain parts of the world, let's take New Zealand, for instance, they handled the COVID crisis much better than we did here in the United States. So you can't, it's like comparing apples and oranges, and also the Chinese market and all of that. I mean, the Asian market is not just China, because we're talking Taiwan, and those places are a good portion of this. I mean, Warner Brothers gambled. Christopher Nolan, you know, he put his foot down and he got what he wanted. But I also feel like it was the expense of some other films. And Warner Brothers has Wonder Woman. It has Dune. These are huge pictures. And, you know, these numbers are not staggering.
So you guys really think?
No, let's make it simple. Here, let's break it down simple. They lost. And the reason why they lost is because the production cost on Tenet was anywhere from and you got to take these numbers with a grain of salt. It cost them anywhere from 150 to $200 million just in production cost alone. On the P&A spend, they spent just domestically, at least 100. So you know they probably equal that amount internationally. So let's just go with a round number. Just to say total investment on Tenet was around, to be modest, let's say 350 million, where everybody knows the formula in order to even begin to break even is times 3.
That's right.
There's no way you come in times 3 when you only got so far 170 out of that total that you need. So, and also another indicator is that on their next 2 big projects, they're either considering moving or they've released marketing material without dates.
I'll take that.
The other thing you have to remember is those numbers were over a holiday weekend. What's going to give you the true picture?
Well, no. Labor Day is traditionally not considered a big holiday weekend anyway. So they'll refute you on that, because Labor Day that's the weekend.
It's a holiday weekend. It's 4 days.
It's not a movie weekend.
Excuse you. It's 4 days.
People
don't have much to do, and and people have been seriously.
But check this out, you guys.
It's a 4-day weekend, and it's where people are Other movies have made money over Labor Day. Anyhow, so it's 4 days, and the real picture is when you look at this weekend. You know what I mean?
To see what happens this
If the
weekend.
numbers drop substantially, or if it stays even keel.
I think so. So if you only can have about 25% of the people, so I hear you, Sean. Ultimately, they lost. You're absolutely right.
No,
When you
they
look
I mean,
at
did.
I agree,
when
they
you
did,
when you
and
look
nobody
at
said that they won. That's not
400
my
million,
point.
$400 million. However, if I open up the theater and only can have 20% of the people there, and Inception made 60 million in its opening, but I get 20 million when I only have a smaller audience. You don't say that that's a win for the theaters and that's a win for telling people, hey, you can come back into the
No,
theater.
you could tell it wasn't a win for anyone just the way the news rolled out. And another thing that we haven't really talked about that hurt is the movie just wasn't as good as they thought it was going to play. Like it's gotten okay reviews, but not gangbuster reviews by any stretch of the imagination.
All right, well, that's the last word on that. All right, now we move into a really hot topic, Mulan. It already had a problem because the lead actress is pro-police, but now at the end of the credits, which I didn't notice, by the way, you guys, at the end of the credits, it says, hey, thank you to this region in China where they're holding some ethnic Muslims and treating them pretty darn bad in like concentration camps. So it has created this I mean this storm of backlash. Like, really? Would you go and shoot there? You would shoot over there in that So there's a lot of reasons people I think are trying to boycott. Doesn't matter.
Now, because here's a problem, right? We are very, as far as the Western world, very ignorant on the politics of what happens in Asia. If we were really on our P's and Q's, we wouldn't work so hard to try to infiltrate the Chinese market because it is an authoritarian government and it has kept, especially journalists. A lot of journalists have been killed and have been jailed for speaking out against the regime. So if we cared about the politics, we wouldn't be pushing so hard to push our products, our Coca-Cola, our McDonald's, and all the other stuff in there.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say
so you
tripping.
can't you can't be surprised that Disney made a deal with the devil in order to get the money. This whole thing is, in some way, is a good example of we care more about the bottom line than the authenticity. Because if you look at even the people behind the scenes are all white. And the movie is beautiful, but how it was put together is problematic top to bottom.
All right,
So
Sean. So do we
as much
care?
as I think it's only people that care about that type of stuff, and the average person is not that involved. They're gonna say we got our own problems over here.
Sean?
If you care about that, if I cared about our dealings with China, I wouldn't be talking to you now on this laptop. So I mean, where do you?
Oh man, you went there.
I mean,
Stop going to Walmart. Don't go
where
to
do you,
Walmart.
where do you draw? I mean, where do you draw the line?
No
You're
Amazon.
not watching the NBA anymore. You're not drinking Coca-Cola. You're not talking on the iPhone. You're not wearing Nikes. You're not driving 90% of the cars in the market. I mean, it's a complicated, very complex situation. So, I mean, and then, if you're mad at a country for putting people in cages and concentration camps, we do that here.
Okay, I'm gonna let that be the last word on that. Hey, last week we talked about we talked about the passing of Chadwick Boseman. We devoted a lot of time to that, which we should have. And here's the question: we got Black Panther, we got the character. What should happen to the character? And Sean, you're looking up, so I'm gonna go to you first. What should happen to this character?
First, can I say this? Man, it's too soon. It's just, man, the brother just passed, man. It just shows you that live your life because nobody cares.
Because people are talking, people are saying,
The brother just passed, but to keep it short and simple and stupid, Letitia Wright should be the new Black Panther in the story. She was in the first one. People love their character. She's a great actress. Bam, there you go.
you went exactly where I was going. I'm thinking that because in the comic books,
It happens in the comic book, right?
it happens in the
It's
comic
natural.
books
It's
where
natural.
where the sister becomes a Black
The sister
Panther.
becomes Black Panther.
So that's where I am, Katya.
I mean, in a perfect world, that would be correct, but I don't think she's a big enough star. And I don't think she is, I think she's capable. I think she is, but this is a lot of money to put on this young girl's shoulder. I think in order for that to work, you need another draw in there.
For
I
real?
mean, I'm perfect.
No.
I wanted them to go, yeah, I do, because here's the thing is,
You want them to go where?
if it doesn't work, then it's on her, you know, and I do think you need there's multiple ways that you can go. I mean, I really was hoping that with this new Black Panther, they would do the Storm storyline, you know, because I think Storm has yet to be done properly on the screen. They haven't hired the right actress. They haven't exposed all of her capabilities. She's so much greater in the comic books and also in the cartoons. So I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go with another actor. I mean, this is a huge franchise.
They make a big mistake.
And I mean, it would be great, but at the same token, I do think you need to bring in a very good villain in order for that to be.
But let's go back to
all of that.
Okay, go ahead, Sean.
No, but when they cast Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, he was not a star at all.
No, but he had a bigger resume than she did. He had a way bigger resume. He came up playing Jackie Robinson. He came up playing.
He wasn't the reason that
he wasn't a big star, but he had a bigger resume, and he was also introduced. I think a lot.
He wasn't a star.
I said what I said, Sean.
I want to push back. I want to push back on that too, don't Katya.
Hold on, Reggie. Go, Reggie. Go.
Because I hear you that he did all these things, but this guy, I mean, this role made him blow up. And I think, when we talk, hold on, just for 1 sec. Hold on 1 sec. I think when we talk about the money, that they put the money behind him to promote this, promote him and to promote that character. I believe that they could promote Letitia Wright in the same way, put the same kind of money behind her, and everyone loved her character. I think now she has the resume, because being in Black Panther, I think that will make a smooth transition. I don't disagree with you about having a great villain, because I think you always need to have a great villain. So I think that's a given. But I think she could crush this role.
We were talking about Chadwick Boseman when he died the way we did because he was Chadwick Boseman. We talked about him that way because he happened to be in Black Panther. That's what elevated.
Once again, I said what I said. This is why we have different opinions.
That is true.
In your head.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, I think that I definitely think would like to have, but we act like the storylines are, this is the only storyline. There's multiple storylines, you know what I mean?
Well, we said the one that makes the most
I think this is also an opportunity to bump up Winston Duke's character and Bakhtu, who really, in many ways, stole this film. Like a lot of the funny moments and the highlights of the film are from him. So I think it's an opportunity, if you're going to have her step him up and bring in a good villain. But this business is very cruel.
But
people
back to the question, who should replace Chad? It should be
I think that,
all the other
it would be perfect if they did it with her, but I can see them bringing in another actor.
Let's go back down the center lane. We're going left and right. Who should replace Chadwick? That was the question.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on because we're at our last one for today, and that one is Janelle Monáe being a leading lady. So I'm gonna start with you on this one, Katya. Is that you think so? I
think so, but it needs to be in a better film, not this film that she has out now. It needs to be in a way better film. I'm like, if you want to see her in better work, watch Homecoming. This movie ain't it.
But so problematic. Are you buying that she's the whole package because she got the music?
I definitely think she's the whole package, but give her way better material. This movie is not going to do anything for her resume.
Sean, you got the interviewer. That's why I put it on.
No, but I can't. That's my best friend, so I gotta be careful of this stuff. I actually this Antebellum is technically her first leading role in a feature film. So we still have some time to see. You know, you got to give people, you know, a couple of projects to see where it goes. I mean, she definitely on paper has the potential because she's at the right. I mean, you know, this is Hollywood once again about the money and how you fit in. She's at the right age where she can get several different types of roles, which help because now you have more opportunity to pick and choose, which is half the battle, choosing the right project. So smart and she gets the opportunity to do the correct project, yeah, she can land it. She's also, you know, because she can sing and she can dance, that widens the pool of script availability, which is what kills a lot of actress of color is script availability. What stories have been written, which stories have been financed so that a casting director can go and say, hey, we want you to play this role. That's been the previous problem with the Oscars in the first place. When you look back year to year to year to year, the pool of women of color that you could have even like put into the conversation to be nominated is always small because stories aren't written for them. So
But let me push back on you for that though, Sean. Is that we talk about stories aren't written for them. So if Hollywood is not going to say what they did in Hamilton and what they did in Mulan and say, okay, or
that's the
Hamilton.
problem. That's the
So
problem.
I'm gonna go back to the first argument. Then why
Yes.
I gotta force Hollywood to do that?
That's where the inclusion mandates should start. Doing inclusion mandates with the academy is like running the mile and creating rules on the last 10 meters or last 10 yards. We're doing it backward. It's
I
got to
just want to
start.
be very clear.
It's
This,
got to.
I'm going to be very clear because I
It's
don't
got
want
to
to
start.
be misconstrued. I don't see this academy thing as the end all of be all. Is it a step? It's a small step in the right direction, but
Okay,
there's a
yeah, we'll
whole
say
bunch of
small. I
other
agree with
steps
that. I
that
agree with
need to.
that. But
There's a whole bunch of other steps that need to also take
inclusion,
place.
Reggie, this is the deal. The inclusion measures should start with like all these writer academies so that we can have more people of color. It's got to start with more people of color writing the stories. Because if you don't, because that's the first phase it is.
Well,
Because I'm saying
I buy that.
in Empire, the first phase is going through 100 scripts a week, and you realize that 99 out of the 100 scripts were not written by a person of color. We get submitted 100 scripts a week. 99 of them are written by non-people of color. So it's got to start with like
And
including.
one part that we didn't talk about that I do like from this is the internship portion because you can't get
That's the
experience
only part
and
that's correct.
that you
Only
can't
part
get
that's correct.
experience and you can't build your resume if
Right.
you don't get an opportunity.
That's now
And
that
that
now
gives you,
you're on the
and
money.
that's half the
Now,
argument. What John just said is you
now
can't get
you're on the
into the
money.
deal if you can't get experience.
You
You
got
know,
it. We
and
got it.
that's a reason that
No, that's
we
true.
don't have enough
Yeah,
hairdressers
but back
and
to the
makeup
question.
artists.
But back to the question. I do believe Janelle Monáe can be a leading lady and can be a star in time. And for the record, I well, I'm not. I can't officially talk about it yet, but I am going to break it down on NPR next week. I actually thought there were some good things about Antebellum, and I actually thought it was a good part for her. It's just
All right, well,
it's a
and we'll
great
talk
movie,
about it next week as well.
great movie for
We'll
conversation.
talk about
I think Janelle is amazing. I think she has everything to
She's got
soar.
potential.
It's
And
just
she
not
got
in this
robbed.
movie.
She should have got the Oscar
And
for Hidden Figures.
I definitely
Not
feel
Octavia.
like you can see, that's why I said, if you want to see her and you want to see that potential, watch Homecoming, watch Hidden Figures. This vehicle is not it. And
Yeah.
it's not because of her, it's because it's just a mess.
Yeah, well, I'll end up with the last comment on this one is that I'll say in terms of the writers, we talked about this before, and I was looking at a number of black movies, and you keep looking at these black movies, and you'd be like, dang, hold on, no,
Color Purple.
that's not a black person. So I think you're
Color Purple, shoot.
I
There's
think.
more than
Oh,
that.
I know. It's so many, but I just
Purple.
want to say that I think that that's a real big issue from
And
where
also
we start.
look at the names of the producers. See, we going about this the wrong way, man. Look at Black Panther. Look at the names of the producers, and also we got to still hold some of our black filmmakers accountable. because they don't always support us either. I mean,
No,
you know,
no.
especially when it comes, and my biggest pet peeve with a lot of filmmakers, especially when it comes to film criticism, is we got filmmakers out here talking black, 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 but then when it comes to the promotion of their movies, they use white, white, white quotes.
That's right. That's right. No,
Come
no.
on now.
And we definitely have to have that discussion.
And when
In
they
fact,
do
I
set
think,
visits, they invite white, white, white journalists. How many black people went to New Zealand to the set of Wrinkle in Time?
all right. Well, we're almost at the end. I just want to, as you know, we always do a little a critic spotlight. Just going to do for a minute that I saw the movie The Sit-In. This is the movie.
Oh,
This right. This is the movie about Harry Belafonte taking over the Tonight Show for a whole week. I just want to tell you, it is playing on Peacock, and it for me was riveting. I really love this documentary. I loved it for so many reasons. Not one of which, of course, was that it's educational, but the other piece of it is that it showed it took culture, entertainment, and politics, and it put it all in one bag and showed how a Harry Belafonte was really a champion for us. I am so sorry that they lost the tapes of this, that they didn't lose it. They don't have the tapes of all those shows, because this is one to watch. I laughed, I cried. This was a good film for me. That's
I
my.
was going to say, my final take is ditto. And Harry Belafonte's my MLK. Dude is like one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Stand-up guy. Please.
Yeah, this is a must watch for me. Katia, you got the last word on whatever you want to have the last word on.
I like Harry Belafonte. I think he's done a lot of things, but I have my issues with him too, and that's a whole nother discussion for another day. But my final word is on Regina King. Give Black women their props. Give Black women opportunities. She knocked it out of the park. One Night in Miami is Black excellence, top to bottom, left to right. And come award season, you better do right by her. Amazon, you have the money. Go and campaign for her. There should be multiple nominations from this film, from behind the camera to in front of the camera. And I have to give a shout out to Leslie Odom Jr., who is my Philly brother. And, you know, this is for anybody that doubted, this man is more than a singer. And they're just beautiful performances. It's beautiful to see Black men on the screen, and nobody killed nobody. Nobody was a slave, a criminal. They're all standing firmly in their Blackness. But most importantly, it shows non-Black people that we're not monolithic, and there's more than one way to build a bridge. And we ourselves as Black people struggle on how to help each other, and how do we have personal responsibility at the same time enjoy the fruits of our labor. Again, I implode. I mean, I am begging us all, the community, to keep her in your prayers, put your arms around her, and uplift her. Regina King is special.
No, we can do better. We can do better than that. We're critics. I'm a break a rule right here on your show, Reggie, because I know we're not supposed to really talk about it, but I'm going to say, One Night in Miami should be the Oscar frontrunner right now.
I agree. I already said it. I said
So
Regina
you guys
King.
heard me.
I already said it. I said Regina King will be the first. I already said it, that Regina King will be the first Black woman nominated for Best Director, and she has a legitimate shot of winning.
I'm not going to say that, but
I'm saying it. I have predicted her Emmy win.
I know the politics.
I predicted her Emmy win. I predicted her Oscar win 5 seconds after I got out after Beale Street. My tweet is out there in the world. She collected both. She may collect her fifth, Emmy this weekend.
She
So
better.
and I'm like, Regina King is special in all of the good ways, but we know the world we live in. So let's lift her up in prayer and send her all the positive vibes.
So she's dope. She's dope. It deserves everything. It's just, man, getting through that, like I said, getting through that DGA. Woo.
Well, I will say
this is the year to do it. So since you put up your little black square, show and prove when it's time to nominate.
I will say this.
We the critics, we got to sing the praises. It's up to us.
When I do clips, I'm doing this final clip about Regina King, so y'all gonna see that clip out there because you made me want to see this movie.
Yeah, I'm a
Dude,
fan.
we
I
just
have been
gotta
a
turn the
Regina
heat
King
up. We
fan
gotta
since
turn the heat up.
2007. Like we're 2 years apart. We're in the same age group. We have grown up together, and you love to see it. She is that story child star to adult, and she has done it all. And I'm like, talk about people like that when we talk about child stars. Don't just talk about the kids that went to rehab. Talk about the kids that excelled.
Well, I got to get back to my childs. So that's a show for this week, you guys. This is the Real Critic
Yes.
Roundtable. You saw we got the roundtable. We need to get our fourth person back because Katya was hot today. Did you hear this? Oh my goodness. Anyway,
Yeah, I
this is
just
where we
say 10
debate,
toes
discuss,
down.
and have some fun.
I say 10 toes down all the time. I do not work. I do not bend the knee. That is not me.
We don't expect you to. This is where we discuss, debate, and have fun. We did all that today. See you guys next week.